Throughout the year, I've used a lot of different AI coding tools and a variety of AI coding models. And through trials and errors, I have came across this one method that helped so much in improving the results of any AI coding models. And in this video, I'll be sharing it with you guys, which I have actually mentioned in my previous videos, which is the Spec Driven Development approach. What that essentially is before you do any development work, which will be done by your AI coding agent, such as Claude Code, Cursor, or Codex, you need to provide them with a set of specification, which could be in a sort of like documentation or tasks. I'll be explaining how good that would be compared to something you would do without any planning. And of course, the reason why we need to do this is because if you were to just prompt away with your agent, which I would say is the traditional vibe coding style of like chatting with your agent, or you could also say this is just plain prompt engineering. The downside to that is, as you know, agents or like AI coding models have a limited context window. Now, this context window is pretty much just the amount of context it is able to consume in one session. Now, with this limited context window, that causes the agents to sometimes lose track of its goals and, of course, its tasks. Why? Because it selectively picks the different parts of your code base instead of having a full understanding. It will just have understanding of bits and pieces through your code base. And, of course, your goal will get mixed up in those contexts. Now, this will result in you requiring to do more prompts, and in return, it will waste more of your time and your precious tokens. Now, in contrary to that, a spec-driven development approach will be doing context engineering, where it will provide a lot more context about your code base through a summary or indexing of sorts, which will make your agent have a way better understanding of your code base, so it knows what to pick and what to do in the actionable steps. And in return, it will do less hallucinations, so you would have to do less prompts, and it will burn less tokens. Now, you might be wondering, how do you do this spec-driven development approach? Well, what it is actually you doing planning before you do your initial prompt. Now, how you do your planning, I've broken it down into 4 steps. Now, this can be done with you and your AI coding agent of choice. So, for example, like Codex, Cursor, or even like Claude Code and Quen Code and Gemini CLI. Now, some of these agents come with the planning mode. I would highly suggest you just chat with them to create these specific docs and, of course, tasks. So it'll have a lot more context to work with, and in return, it will have more context about your code base and also what you actually want to achieve. The more specific your plan is, there's going to be less room for the AI to fill in the gaps where it can produce hallucinations. If you don't want to use your agents because maybe it'll take more time for you, or maybe that's going to burn a lot more tokens when you do your planning, then there are external tools to help you with that. And in this video, I will be showing you an external tool that I'm using, which is Codespace, which is our own tool to do a lot of planning and, of course, doing like a lot of breakdown and turning those goals you have into tech spec and specific tasks. So this would be the main difference before you do any prompt work to your AI coding agent. If you were to do planning or doing the spec-driven development approach, then you will provide the agent with a knowledge base, tasks, and the technical spec, which is a lot of context, but that will be very specific. So the agent will know what to do and have the relevant information instead of going through the whole code base over and over again and, like having to go through several sessions to achieve the same features. Now, whereas the prompt engineering approach, or I would say like the traditional vibe coding approach, is when you provide just a single prompt with like the details of your goals and the problems. That might work, but in a more complex scenario, I would say it is going to be a lot more time wasted because you would have to do more prompts because the agent will tend to do more hallucinations and have to go through code base, which wastes a lot of the context window. In our channel, we like to do real world testing. In this video, it's not going to be any different because we will be actually working on an app that we've previously made on the other video, which was building an everything AI app where we will have every features or like every AI functions be accessible in just one app. So for example, like just chatting with different models and doing web scraping with AI and a lot of different functions. Now I will be creating the plan through Codespace where it already has an index or like a summary of my code base. So we can just create a new task and tell it what to do. It will produce the planning, the knowledge base, and of course the specific tasks that it will pass on to the agent. If you want to try it out, there is a free tier currently for a limited time. You can do so by clicking the link in the description. To demonstrate how I did my planning, I went ahead and created a task on Codespace. And what I just did was I created an initial prompt, which details my problem and then the feature I wanted to build. Now, after that, of course, I selected the repo I wanted to work on, and it created the task already. It has finished. As you can see, it is here, and yep, it was on this. So this was the feature I built and did planning on, which is just a feature for the existing app that we were working on, which is the Everything AI app. And I just wanted to add like an AI canvas where people can just chat and then create documents and also edit it with a markdown editor. Now it went ahead and created a text pack. Now this text pack was solely based on my original description and of course context regarding the project itself and the repository. And yep, it went ahead and enriched the description into this new description and also added an estimated scope and more details regarding the repo and what to change and which components to use. It is very extensive. As you can see, this is the suggested approach. Using the text pack, it created tasks over here. There are 5 in total, and you can see it is very detailed and very specific. It tells you like the routes to use and what libraries to use. To demonstrate the significance of planning, I have created 2 directories with the same exact code base from this Everything AI app. Now, what I did was the first directory, I went ahead and did this prompt and actually added all the documentation and added all the text pack and the tasks to that directory and ran Claude code to execute those tasks and referring to the text pack. Whereas the other directory, went ahead and just opened Claude code and just inserted the exact prompt that I used for Codespace, which was the original description. That is this one. Now, here are the results. I would like to just go through the Codebase first. So for the Codebase, this is the one. So this was the one with the text pack. As you can see, I've added the text pack and also the tasks.json. It was then used by Claude Code to run the tasks and also just implement all the code. Now, I want to see the text pack itself. So it was referring to mostly the enriched description, which it says that it created a page on Dashboard AI Canvas with a dual panel interface and of course the functionality of just chatting with the AI and inserting document based on the response from the assistant. Now let's see the page it created. So it was on the dashboard page. Now it was on the AI Canvas. As you can see, it is using the best practices for React. As you can see, like it just creates one component for the page itself. The page is server side. And when you go inside it, it has a very good structure and the component tree is really good. And you can see also on the left side here, where it actually divides the code into separate files, which is the main benefit of this planning, that it is able to create a more structured approach and using the best practices. Okay, now let's compare the code base on what was implemented on the text pack. Compare it to just the Claude Code version without any text pack or without any planning. It's just one prompt. You can see it just uses this one page, which is the canvas page. And there's much less files being edited and added. But if you see the page or where it added the AI canvas, it was just adding everything in one page, which is very cluttered. Like it's not going to be the best practice. And later on, when you want to develop more features, add more features with any AI coding tools, it is going to have a harder time, especially when it adds more stuff to this file. So you would need to refactor first, which is the to produce the most effective and recommended approach. Now let's see for the pages itself that was created on the UI. So I ran both already. It is using the same database now because it did not have any changes to the database schema. But as you can see, this is the one created from Codespace using the Codespace plans and then executed by Claude Code with Sonnet 4.5. Whereas this was the one made by Claude Code without any planning, just one prompt with Claude Sonnet 4.5 also. Main differences I see is that the one created by using a plan, it actually implemented the complete markdown editor. As you can see, this is fully editable using this toolbar here. And also you can also see the preview, whereas on the one made by Claude Code without any planning, it just made a markdown editor, but it is not like a complete editor. You have to actually manually write the syntaxes like this. And you can see also the preview isn't working because probably it didn't implement the Tailwind Pros, which is the typography for the specific headings, for the specific formatting of Markdown. And also, yeah, it has the UI itself looks better in my opinion, but the UX is of course not what I asked, because if you see the original prompt, which is here, there we go, the original prompt here, I asked for specifically a Markdown editor, which is, of course, referring to the full-on Markdown editor with the toolbars and everything, not a manual, just input, you having to write every formatting yourself. So yeah, that's the differences. Now, as for the functions, let's just try it out. So let me try first with the one with the planning. So we can choose the models, which is what I asked. Let's just see. So I'm just going to ask like for a simple template to create a PRD. And okay, so the streaming is working fine, which is great. But yeah, there is no Markdown as you can see, the markdown is not correctly formatted in the chat itself, but if you insert it, it is able to be inserted. But yeah, because of the spacing and everything, it is messed up. Like you can't really see the correct formatting. Yeah, I guess it did create it in markdown, in case in like a code. But yeah, like overall, it was able to generate like streaming, also just implement whatever I've written to the docs, even though it is to the canvas, even though it is not correctly formatted. We can fix that with like a prompt or two though. But overall, like everything that was according to the tech spec was implemented. So let's compare it now with the one without planning, just from Claude Code Sonnet 4.5. Let's just use the exact same prompt, just make a template for a project requirements document. And for the model, I'm going to use the same model because it does also have the model selector, which is nice. And that's what I asked for. So let's see if this works. Okay, so streaming also works on here, but let's see if we're able to insert it into our editor or canvas. So yeah, the markdown does have issues also here. You can see it is not implementing the actual like markdown formatting for the chat bubbles. And let's see if it is able to be inserted into document. Okay, it is able to be inserted into document. I am able to edit it, but yeah, because it doesn't have the correct markdown, it is not actually like implementing the styling here also. So it does a little bit, but as you can see, it doesn't do that with the headings and everything, unlike the one created by the planning with Claude Code Sonnet 4.5. So those are the main differences. And if I were to continue on developing this feature, of course, I could just refer back to the tech spec and reiterate on that tech spec itself and do more planning to generate better results and get less and do less prompts pretty much. From the one that actually had a tech spec and tasks, did the overall planning, it was able to stick to the specification and made what I asked it to. Whereas the one made by Claude Code without any planning did deliver on some things, but it actually missed on other things. For example, the editor, it didn't have like a complete toolbar. It also made some UI here, but that seems like it's not kind of working. Like it just shows this document panel. I guess it's supposed to be for like all the documents that were created, but it's not showing anything. So that's a bit of hallucinations. But in terms of the markdown preview, it is kind of like sort of showing the markdown, but not for all the formatting. Like for example, the heading itself is not being formatted. So I'm guessing that's just an issue with the tailwind styles not being implemented here. So yeah, overall, planning, of course, will produce better results because you provide more specific instructions by generating the tech spec document and also the tasks. And if you don't do that, there will be some hallucinations and there will be some things that can be missed by the AI. Therefore, meaning you have to do more prompts and burn more tokens and waste more of your time. So that's it for the video. I just wanted to do like a quick comparison on my current approach, which is the planning and spec driven development approach, and the vibe coding approach, which is just prompt engineering without really thinking too much about planning. The result speaks for themselves. If you do have any feedback or any questions, just leave them in the comments below. And we also have just made a Discord channel you can join. And if you want to discuss more about AI coding tools and your different approaches, you can do so through the Discord channel. Thank you.